Hey everybody, Luis,
I'm Abby.
and this is the conversation live from the San Diego Union-Tribune headquarters in San Diego, California. Thanks for joining us, and yeah, today's topic is a little bit interesting given the news that just came out today that affects Californians.
Yeah, we have gone, I would say, quite a while on the conversation, not talking about President Donald Trump or his administration, and today we're getting back to it. But we picked a topic that, has a lot of impact on California. So
yeah, we've done pretty good at avoiding Trump,
mixing it up
for a while.
Mixing it up.
So I feel like we've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, but if you're watching and you don't know how this normally goes, Luis and I watch for your comments, questions right here. Let us know.
Yeah.
And we'll watch for it live. So
what's the big announcement that came out today from the Trump administration? The Trump administration today announced that they're finally announcing that they're going to roll back these Obama-era fuel efficiency standards that were set in 2012 that would make basically vehicles more fuel efficient by 2026. Those vehicles were supposed to be, car makers were supposed to start making those vehicles more fuel efficient starting in 2020, but the Trump administration has said no, we're going to freeze it at 2020. So car makers don't have to make vehicles fuel efficient or more fuel efficient. They're just going to have to stay at their level at 2020. California is definitely pushing back on this. There's a lot of reaction coming out of Sacramento, where Governor Jerry Brown, State Attorney General Javier Becerra, and even Arnold Schwarzenegger have kind of weighed in using some pretty strong language to say that they're going to fight this, they're going to fight back, and yeah, we'll see what's going to happen. This is definitely going to go to the courts. But
so why does this matter uniquely to California? What's specific when it comes to this state?
California is pretty unique in that there's a lot of things that are unique about California, but in this particular situation, California set some pretty strict standards that other states can follow, and the state has sort of set these pretty high standards to make cars more fuel efficient. Obviously, it's doing this, with the belief that, and I guess you could call it the facts that, greenhouse emissions from vehicles contribute to global warming. There's a lot of skepticism, out there about whether this is really correlated. But California is definitely convinced that this is the case.
That and a history of smog, especially in LA area.
If you remember, if you are from those days, where you would drive around the city and there would be smog everywhere, you would definitely understand. But nowadays, we don't have that issue. At least it's not right in front of us. But California has this unique ability, granted by the Clean Air Act of 1970, to set even more strict standards than the federal government. And that's kind of allowed car makers to basically just follow California's standards and say, all right, well, we're going to make cars that are fuel efficient based on what California determines is a fuel efficient car. Given that, so we'll see. We're going to see what's going to happen, because if the Trump administration decides to definitely roll back those standards, California is going to be fighting this, because California is convinced that this is essential to protect the environment.
Yeah.
This is all about this whole entire fight is about protecting the environment, global warming, and the big topic of discussion that's going on right now is global warming, because in climate change, look at what's happening in Northern California with those fires. A lot of scientists are even now saying it, that yes, these fires are a result of climate change. There's been plenty of, I guess, events over the last several years that, that have caused scientists to say that these are all results of like climate change. But there, again, there's still a lot of skepticism from the public out there. Even so, from the Trump administration's own EPA, Scott Pruitt was a skeptic of global warming caused by man, I guess, by people. So it's going to be kind of interesting. I can read you some of the responses that that have come in from the state of California.
Yeah, I saw some pretty strong words on social media today.
Jerry Brown today tweeted, "California will fight this stupidity in every conceivable possible way, and every conceivable way possible." Javier Becerra said, "The Trump administration has launched a brazen attack, no matter how it is cloaked, in our nation's clean car standards. California DOJ will use every legal tool at its disposal to defend today's national standards and reaffirm the facts and science behind them." And again, that goes back to saying, goes back to a point, that California is defending these clean air or vehicle standards for the sake of the environment, for the sake of protecting the I guess reducing the amount of greenhouse gases that contribute to the decay of the ozone layer.
So what happens next with this?
So far, what I've seen from the state attorney general and from Jerry Brown, they haven't really announced how they're going to approach this in the courts, but they're definitely vowing to fight this in the courts. The EPA and the Department of Transportation both proposed these rules. They're freezing these standards. They're under a 60-day public comment period, so they're taking some feedback. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some sort of negotiation back and forth. They might even set their own standards. It's not clear what those standards are really going to be, but it looks like if anything happens, we're going to start seeing it happening in later this year. So. Yeah.
And I've been, they've been talking about this for months and months, it seems. We've been hearing, threats about this. California's been making its point known. The Trump administration's been making its points known. And it's interesting to see that it's finally becoming something that's going to have to be dealt with by both sides.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to hear from other Californians, what they think of today's fuel standards. Like, my car is pretty fuel efficient, but I would like it to be a little bit more fuel efficient,
Yeah.
But the Trump administration believes that, because these cars are becoming so fuel efficient, that they're becoming harder and harder to afford. And whether that's the case, I guess it does kind of affect. These standards do affect, the way, car makers approach, I guess, how they make their cars, because the majority of the cars that are in the market in the U.S. are mostly trucks, SUVs, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
60%, I read somewhere.
I can imagine this has been very frustrating for people in the industry waiting as it goes back and forth, and this going all the way back to the Obama era. I know that the Trump administration talked about this almost as soon as they got into office.
Oh yeah.
So the limbo continues.
Yeah, and it's part of like a very wider effort by the Trump administration to sort of roll back a lot of the things that Obama did, when he was president. And again, this is part and parcel of politics of like, one administration comes and undoes what the previous administration did, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We do expect to see this is probably going to be California's biggest fight with the federal government yet. How that's going to happen, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's so interwoven with all these other states as well, because we have this state has plenty of fights with the administration, ranging from immigration to other issues, but this one the state's not alone. I think it was 13 states that also, I think we already mentioned that, but other states are tied up into the fate of what California finds out about this. So it'll be interesting to see.
So I just want to read this statement from Arnold Schwarzenegger. This was one that really kind of took me away, because remember, he's the Republican governor. He was the previous governor of California, and he was a Republican.
Moderate Republican.
Right, moderate Republican, and he has definitely, sort of, I don't want to say switch sides, but he's definitely taken issue with the Trump administration, since Trump went into office.
Yeah, and this has always been a big issue for him as well.
Yeah, he tweeted, my statement on today's stupid, fake conservative policy announcement that no one asked for. For 48 years, California has had a waiver from the federal government to clean our own air. If the president thinks he can win this fight, he's out of his mind. I am sick and tired of these fake conservatives who believe in states' rights to make their own policies. If you want to clean up your air, they throw federalism right out the window. And he says, I've had it with these so-called pro-business conservatives who ignore what actually industry leaders say is best for their business. The car company's own lobbyists said that they hope the administration would find a solution that continues to increase fuel efficiency standards. Let's be clear, this is a stupid policy that no one asked for. Businesses prefer certainty, not policies that change with the whims of each new White House. I mean, that's pretty strong language.
He covered pretty much all the aspects of this too.
Yeah, and that is true. I previously wrote about this when the Trump administration had hinted at doing this. I think it was last month or 2 months ago. And I, read statement after statement from car makers, Ford, saying that they do support these fuel efficiency standards and they do think it's good for business, but again, if the Trump administration says, that's not going to be the case anymore, then it's very unclear what's going to happen, with car makers in the future. But
worth looking into, especially if you're a car owner or
if you're
looking to
go buy a car,
or gonna be interesting to see what happens next.
2020 is going to be an interesting year because that's when you start seeing more fuel efficient cars. I feel like my car's pretty fuel efficient, but heck, if we start getting more miles per gallon on those cars, I'd definitely go buy a new one.
There you have it. That is it for the conversation. We will be posting an article giving you more information, more details on all of this on San Diego Union-Tribune.com. Check out the conversation there, where we post all of everything we talk about here pretty much. And we're here every weekday at noon, so we'll see you tomorrow.
See you then.